The NFL is making history by adding a brand new expansion team after a whopping 21 years. The last NFL expansion team was in Houston, Texas, and we now take you across state to the vibrant city of Austin, Texas for the next NFL team. With the status as the fastest growing major city in the United States and its deep-rooted passion for football, thanks in no small part to the beloved University of Texas, Austin is the perfect home for the upcoming franchise. And best of all, the team will pay tribute to the rich rock and roll history of Texas, being dubbed the Austin Rock. Get ready to rock and roll with the newest addition to the NFL. But there's a catch. The Austin Rock currently have no players on their roster. That's right, this team is starting from scratch and needs to assemble a winning squad before they can take the field. In this thrilling simulation, we'll follow the same process that was set for the last expansion team, the Houston Texans, back in 2002. With a $220 million salary cap at their disposal, the Rock have 3 phases to spend their money whilst creating a team. They'll start with the expansion draft, then move on to free agency, and finally the highly anticipated NFL draft. It's all up for grabs, and anything could happen as the Austin Rock prepare to shake up the NFL. The rules for the expansion draft, adapted from the 2002 Texans, are as follows. Each NFL team listed 5 players that the Austin Rock could select. The Rock are required to claim 30 players or $85.4 million, 38% of the 2023 salary cap. If a second player was taken from one team, the existing team could then pull back its remaining players. Existing teams were not allowed to put punters or kickers on the list. Each team's list could only include one player with more than 10 years experience. These players need to be under contract through the 2023 season, and you can include players who are under reserve contracts. Every NFL team has done their part and submitted 5 players to the draft pool, each with their own reasons for the selection. Some want stars with big contracts but lackluster performances like Ezekiel Elliott, Harrison Smith, Dalvin Cook, Matt Ryan, Michael Thomas, and Darren Waller have made the list. Other teams have elected third strings that they won't mind losing. The player pool for the expansion draft is filled with a diverse set of names, with the NFC and AFC each presenting their own sets of players. Feel free to take your time to pause and view the list as the Austin Rock are about to make their selections and build their team from scratch. The pressure is on as they weigh their options, selecting between experienced veterans and promising new talent. Only time will tell, so sit tight and watch as the Rock begin their journey in the NFL. Austin Rock made some bold moves in the expansion draft, starting with their first pick of Tyler Boyd from the Cincinnati Bengals. With 2 elite receivers already on the Bengals roster, Boyd was up for grabs, and the Rock knew he'd be a valuable addition to their team. Tyler Boyd will cost the Rock $10.75 million for 2023. But the Rock didn't stop there. They took a risk on not 1, not 2, but 3 edge rushers who were all recovering from serious injuries. From Carl Lawson and Romeo Okwara, who suffered from ruptured Achilles tendons, to Derek Barnett, who tore his ACL, the Rock were willing to gamble on their potential to bring heat on the field. These 3 players will cost the Rock $32.3 million. The defensive line was clearly a priority for the Rock, as they continued their streak by selecting Tim Settle from the Bills and Justin Jones from the Bears. Settle has been a solid starter for years, and the Rock are hoping he'll continue his A game to their defensive line. He will cost them $4.5 million this season. Justin Jones has also been a starter in the NFL for years and brings great help in the run-stopping game. He will cost the Rock $6 million. But the Rock still have holes to fill on offense. They also snagged Gabe Jackson from the Seahawks, a reliable guard for 8 years in the NFL who is sure to make an impact on their offensive line. They will pay him $7.5 million this season. The last relevant player that the Rock took in the expansion draft was running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Edwards-Helaire has not lived up to his first-round draft pedigree so far, but the Rock hope that in a new offense they can utilize his pass catch abilities and work him into a running back committee. He will cost the Rock $2.7 million. The Rock then addressed some backups on offense by selecting running back Trey Sermon, wide receiver Ray McLeod, tight end Sean McKeon, O-lineman Joe Haig, Matt Farniok, and Darian Kennard. These offensive depth pieces cost the Rock a total of $8.5 million. Then, on defense, the Rock also loaded up on backups, selecting a handful of safeties and corners, including Monteric Brown, Will Parks, Trill Williams, Rodarius Williams, Sean Wade, and Jalen Armour Davis. Additionally, they drafted 5 linebackers, some of whom have already proven themselves as starters in the NFL. Oren Burks, Nate Jerry, Tariq Carpenter, Luigi Villain, and Amen Agbangbemiga. Finally, the Rock selected Joshua Kane-Doe, and with this selection, the Austin Rock had hit the $85 million that they were gifted to build their roster in the expansion draft. And the expansion draft came to an end with 25 players selected. While the expansion draft may be over, the Rock are just getting started. With $139 million still left to spend and an NFL roster of 53 players to fill, you can bet that they're going to go all out in free agency to build a powerhouse team capable of taking on any opponent. The Rock started off free agency with a bang and brought in the perfect fit for their team, both on talent and by name, signing quarterback Rock Ya-Sin to a 4-year deal worth $11 million a year. Rock will be the anchor of the Rock's defense as a strong cornerback 1. The Rock needed another corner to play the other side of Rock Ya-Sin, and they signed Eli Apple. Eli Apple may have a cocky personality, but there's no denying his skills as an all-around cornerback, making his 2-year, $6 million a season contract a steal for them. Then the Rock made 2 more signings in their secondary, bringing in their safeties with Terrell Edmonds for 2 years and experienced veteran Rodney McLeod on another 2-year deal. They cost the Rock $8 million. Next, the Rock had to build a full offensive line through free agency. They decided to spend their money strategically, bringing in left tackle Andre Dillard, who was formerly a first-round pick by the Eagles, and in games he's started, he's been great, but unfortunately was in a situation where the Eagles already had a franchise left tackle, and he couldn't get any playing time. The Rock gave the 27-year-old 1 year worth $5 million in hopes that he can live up to his potential. Then the Rock signed right tackle Caleb McGarry, who in 2022 was one of the best rated tackles in the league with an 86.6 PFF player grade. The Rock locked up McGarry to a huge deal of 4 years worth $14 million a year. But the Rock's O-line signing spree didn't end there. They also locked down center Garrett Bradbury with a 4-year, $12 million a year contract, ensuring that they have a strong anchor in the middle of their line. And to fill out their starting lineup, they signed left guard Will Hernandez to a 3-year deal worth $4.5 million a year. After making these moves, the Rock went back to defense and addressed their holes at linebacker. They signed 25-year-old Azeez Al-Shir to a 2-year deal worth $5 million a year. Al-Shir has real star potential and has helped the 49ers have one of the best linebacker core in the NFL. Then the Rock agreed to a deal with Leighton Vander Esch for 3 years worth $7 million a season. Vander Esch was dominant as a rookie and in the right system can be one of the game's best linebackers. Then the Rock brought in their last starting linebacker with Nicholas Morrow for a 1-year deal worth $3 million. Later in free agency, the Rock agreed to one of their biggest deals with star defensive tackle Dalvin Thomlinson for a 3-year deal worth $12 million a year. The Rock, through the draft and free agency so far, have built one of the best defensive lines in the league. The Rock also had to fix up some skill position players on offense. They agreed to a deal with Donta Foreman for 2 years worth $2.5 million. Foreman played college ball at Texas, so he took a small pay cut to return home and join their running back committee. After Foreman, the Rock signed Darius Slayton to a 2-year deal worth $4 million a season. Slayton works as an above-average field stretcher for this offense. All teams need their special teams too, so the Rock signed kicker Matt Gay, punter Riley Dixon, and long snapper Tyler Ott. These 3 players will have a combined salary of $8 million this season. One thing is still missing. The Rock don't have a starting quarterback. The Rock brought in Teddy Bridgewater for a 1-year deal worth $5 million to be their starting quarterback. Well, that's at least for now, because we're entering phase 3, the NFL draft.
With the first pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Austin Rock select Bryce Young, quarterback, Alabama.
Pressure again, Young escapes for now. Still alive, flings it downfield, and Brooks wide open, and the Tide take the lead, and that is patented Bryce
The excitement around the selection of Bryce Young by the Austin Rock is justified, as many experts believe that he is a once-in-a-generation talent that can transform a franchise. Young has all the makings of a superstar. From the moment Young steps onto the field for the Rock, he will become the face of the franchise, and expectations will be sky high. For the NFL Draft, the Rock, similarly to the Houston Texans, were awarded the first overall pick and 2 second-round picks. With the first of their second-round picks at 34th overall, the Austin Rock selected Jalen Hyatt, wide receiver from Tennessee. Jalen Hyatt was the perfect fit for the Austin Rock. They needed more receivers and already have a good short yardage receiver in Tyler Boyd, so adding a fast, elite field stretcher like Jalen Hyatt will help open up the offense. With the 51st pick in the NFL Draft, the Austin Rock selected BJ Ojulari, defensive end, LSU. The Austin Rock have once again shown their commitment to a dominant defensive line with the selection of BJ Ojulari in the draft. Ojulari had an impressive 20 sacks in the last 2 years. In the 3rd round, the Rock traded down and drafted tight end Tucker Kraft from South Dakota State. Kraft was viewed by many as a top 4 tight end in this draft, and will be the starting tight end for the Rock, who have yet to fully address this position. In the 4th round, the Rock selected safety Jamie Robinson from Florida State. Then with the 138th pick in the draft, the Rock again went D-line, taking defensive tackle Moro Ajamo from the University of Texas to stay in his hometown. With their other 5th round pick, the Rock took corner Jacorian Bennett from the University of Maryland, who ran an impressive 4.3 40-yard dash. Then, in the 6th and 7th round, the Rock selected guard Chandler Zavala and receiver Puka Nakua to conclude the draft. The Rock's roster is now complete. They have a complete team of 53 players and spent $216 million of the $224 million that they received. It will be a challenge for a new NFL team to compete right away. However, the city of Austin is ready, and years from now, the Rock could be one of the best teams in the league.